Welcome to the Natural Vision Improvement webinar. My name is Pat Mattas, and in the next 30 minutes, I'd like you to sit back and relax, and I'm going to entertain you. And I'm going to entertain you with a story, and it's my story. It's my journey to better vision through natural vision improvement. It's called Effortless Learning, and it's entertaining as well. So I'm so happy tonight that a lot of you that are on the webinar are my friends or former clients. I've worked with your children, but there's also a lot of individuals on the webinar tonight that I don't know, and I hope that by the time the webinar is completed, you'll feel as if you know me a little bit better. So I'd like to share with you what I do. So I'm an educational therapist and a nurse, and my practice began about 16 or 17 years ago, and I started as a tutor for special needs children. My practice has grown and has morphed in many ways as I received certifications in different areas, one being sound music therapy, and then also the natural vision improvement therapy. I now work with children and adults, pretty much with any human challenge that comes my way. I once explained to a clinical psychologist that I was having a networking meeting with what I do, and he said to me, "Oh, it sounds like you breathe life into people." And I paused for a minute and I thought, that is kind of what I do. And I'm amazed myself many times and stand in awe of the transformations that I see and the clients that come here with their various challenges. And it just causes me to bow my head and give thanks to God, because I know that He is my resource. So before I begin the story is going to be told in 3 parts. I need to show you my eyeball. So what I'd like you to first notice here is the beautiful spherical shape of the eye. This would be a normal-sided eye. It's round. The method that I have been taught through natural vision improvement is called the Bates method, and it's based on the findings and discoveries of Dr. William H. Bates, and he was a highly regarded oculist, eye doctor, and an eye surgeon in New York City, and he was also a professor at one of the colleges in New York. What he noticed at the time of when he was in practice is that when his patients would lose their glasses, they would often return to him and their vision would have improved. And he began to notice that things weren't squaring with what he was taught in school. So he began to do his own research and studies. And the premise for the Bates method is that stress and strain create the muscles around the eye. So this little model here does not reflect the 6 eye muscles that surround the eye and are responsible for it moving, but there are 6 external muscles. When we experience trauma, when we experience emotional stress, any type of strain, those muscles can begin to contract and misshape the eye. The eye can become elongated. It can become flattened. It can become misshapen in many ways, and we end up with astigmatism. And so the Bates method promotes relaxation through various activities, and also addressing the emotional connection between vision and the eye, because while we have these wonderful physical orbs, we also have a mind's eye. So there's definitely a mental and emotional connection to our sight, and it's how we perceive and see the world. So that is the premise for the Bates method, and I'm going to begin my story. The title of the first story is "Which is Better, 1 or 2?" I'm going to, from time to time, I'll be holding up this model to emphasize the stress that I experienced in my own life based on various things and why my vision eventually became extremely poor. So all good stories start with once upon a time. So once upon a time, there was a little 4-year-old girl who thought that she was sent to Earth to save the world. And if not to save the world, at least to save her parents' conflicted marriage. And that little girl was me. And I lived in a very conflicted household. And I believe that I took that tension and that stress that was subtle in the house, and it settled in my eyes and in my visual system. And I think most of you are familiar with the teaching that our emotions do take up residence in various parts of our body. So for instance, if you are nervous, you may get a stomach ache. If you're stressed, you may get a neck ache. Headaches often are related to stress. So the visual system is no different. And in fact, our eyes are extremely sensitive. So for me, it was taken out in my eyes, and lo and behold, I don't know why, but I was taken to the eye doctor. I'm not sure where the suspicion first came, but I was taken to an eye doctor at 5 years old. And that incident is indelibly marked in my brain. I'll never forget it. And the thing that's ironic is that people, and there may be some of you out there tonight who received glasses at a very young age. I'm talking 4, 5, 6, possibly even 7. That experience is printed on your brain, even from that very young age. So what I remember is going to the doctor's office, sitting in the chair. The lights go off. He swings the big machine over in front of my eyes, and he starts with the click, click of the lenses, which is better, 1 or 2. And as a child, I couldn't tell the difference. And I kept asking him, can you repeat it? Can you do it over? I couldn't make a decision. And finally said, you have to choose something. So I started just randomly choosing numbers. Long story short, that's a very unnatural way to test vision. Going in a darkened room, looking at far away at letters on a wall, having this big apparatus strapped over your eyes is not the best way to test true vision. So that was faulty in itself. But at any rate, I ended up with these cute little pink glasses. And I remember the doctor and my mom standing over my head, and I was in the middle of them, and they were talking about my astigmatism that I had in my right eye. And all I remember was my intuition, and my mother to this day says that I was born an old soul and very intuitive. My intuition told me I'm not wearing those glasses. And for the next at least 15 years, I got in trouble because I would not wear the glasses. I refused. Around age 20, as I was moving out from my parents' house, I think life changed for me because I was getting more independent. I went to the eye doctor again to have an exam, and lo and behold, I was cured. My astigmatism was gone. And I think probably because it was that time in life where, again, I had probably a little less strain going on in my visual system. And I went without glasses for a number of years, but life did not really get any easier as I moved on into my 20s. So if I take a look at this, what was happening to me at the time, I was in an abusive marriage for many, many years, and that strain began to get seeded into my visual system. That's where I am susceptible. And if things couldn't get worse, along came the divorce from hell. And so that probably contracted my eyes even more. It was during that time of the divorce that I started getting floaters in my eyes. I started getting light flashes, blue flashes of light. I couldn't see anymore to drive. I couldn't see anymore to read. Things were rapidly deteriorating in my visual system. So I went to go get my eyes examined. Again, the same scenario, which one's better? And at the end of it, the eye doctor looked at me and said, what's happened to you? He says, your eyes have gotten so bad. He says, you're gonna need bifocals. And it was as if I was transported back in time to when I was 5 years old, and my intuition kicked in, and I said, this is the wrong way to go. I'm not doing this. I'm not getting bifocals. So I told him I'm not getting bifocals. And he said, well, what do you propose to do? He says, you can't see when you're driving. And I said, then I'll get 2 pairs of glasses and I'll play the switcheroo. You know, when I need to read, I'll put 1 pair on, and when I need to drive a car, I'll put the other. And he was reluctant, but he did it. I went back a couple weeks later to pick up the glasses, and I want to show you my other thing that I have here. This is my glass rack. He gave me these here. This pair was for driving, and this pair was going to be for reading. So when I put on, I thought I would sample first the ones for distance. And when I put them on, it was if the room, I couldn't explain it. The room was like shimmering, and I got an instant headache. And I said to him, "What in the world is happening?" And he said, "Don't worry, your brain will get used to it." And I said to myself again, I will never subject my brain to it. There's something wrong with this system if my brain has to get adjusted to something that's supposed to be helping my eyes. So I didn't want to argue with him anymore. So I just took the glasses, left, put them in their boxes, and then opened my glove box in my car and threw them in and slammed the door. And actually, when I began speaking to individuals about natural vision, I actually had to go dig them out of, because every time I bought a new car, I'd throw them in the glove box for some reason. And that's where they stayed for 20 years. And so I dug them out, and here they are tonight. And these were the reading glasses. And just a word about the reading glasses. When he told me that day that I needed them, I said, well, at least I'll pick out a pretty frame. And they're not very pretty. I said, I'll take these frames. And I pointed to a pair, and he says, you can't. And I said, why not? And he said, because your lenses are so thick, because the prescription was so high. He says, your lenses are so thick, you can't wear pretty lenses like that, pretty frames rather. He says, you got to get the heavy duty ones. So again, the alarms go off in my head. This is not the way I want to go. So there I was out in my car, determined not to wear the glasses, but what am I going to do? So that's the end of part one. Part two is pinhole glasses made me a believer. So I'm going to put on a pair of pinhole glasses just for a moment, just so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to kind of lean in close and see if you can see the pinholes. Okay. There's nothing fancy about these. It's all plastic with some holes created in the lenses. There's a principle to how the glasses work. I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'm just going to tell you that they do work. And this was the first hope that I had, but let me just back it up and tell you how I got to pinhole glasses. So after I left the office, I knew I had to do something. So I started searching on the internet, and I'm not a great one to do research on the internet. But I came across, I'm not even sure what I put in there, but I had no idea what natural vision improvement was, not a clue. Somehow, and I think it was, the grace of God led me to my now teacher, Greg Marsh, is the individual I eventually went to get a certification through, and also he became my coach during that time. I found his website. I ordered some materials from his website, and I began to read about pinhole glasses. And the first thing I did was, on his website, he described how to make a pinhole. So we're going to do that right now, because you probably didn't even know that you had pinholes a pinhole glass at your disposal. But take your index finger and roll it down to a tiny pin, as tiny as you can get it. Then if you can't see reading material, so if you're farsighted, which means you can see in the distance but you can't read, pick something up that you normally have difficulty reading, or you may be looking at your phone. If your difficulty is seeing things in the distance, well, look at something in your room or wherever you are at a distance, and look through this side. Put it up to your dominant eye and look at the paper, or look far ahead, and make sure the hole is small enough, and you will be amazed that with your naked eye, so I forgot to mention to take your glasses off. If you have contacts, obviously you can't take those out, but with your naked eye, your sight, you can see. Now, if you've had glasses for years and years, it might be a little more difficult to get the clarity through the pinhole, but it still will amaze you at how much you can see without your glasses. That was my first experience, and my first foray into natural vision improvement was that there's hope. I could see with my natural eyes. through a tiny pinhole. There had to be something to natural vision improvement. There had to be a truth to it. And so I bought the materials and dabbled in it for a number of years, and I began to decrease my own prescription. So these are, aside from these two, which I got from the doctor, these are all drugstore glasses. And so I started stepping down. Obviously, if we can get glasses and work our way up every 2 years, our prescription gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Why can't our eyes self-heal? Why is that the one organ in the body that we just accept the fact that it's going to deteriorate and we let it? So I began to follow the methodology of decreasing my own prescriptions, being comfortable with the blur, because it's going to be blurry as you're working your way down. And now I'm eventually down to here, and I actually go without glasses. My distance is fine. My mid-range is fine. I don't need glasses anymore for driving or any of that. My reading, as long as I have natural light, I can read like 12-point font in natural light. When it gets to be evening, like this time, I may go to these, or if I need to read quickly, I may go to these. But I'm on my way out, which is far from where it used to be. So there is hope for all of us if we follow the natural vision improvement methods. So the pinhole glasses are a great way to show you that there is hope. And one of the things I often tell people, because I eventually decided that I wasn't making the progress that I needed working on my own and trying to teach myself. So I made the decision to go to Colorado and get my certification through Greg Marsh. And, you know, through his kindness while I was out there, he also helped me to work through some of the emotional things that had lodged into my visual system. And I began to gain great strides in repairing my visual system. So my point to you is, you can get the pinhole glasses, which are considered training wheels. That's not the end point for you, but you're not going to make the progress you need, just like I couldn't make the progress I needed, try as I might, by working on my own. You do need a natural vision coach, somebody who's gone the ropes before you, to help you find your way. Because there's a whole nother side to sight. There's the side called vision, and that's the side that I probably have gained the most from. As my mental thinking cleared, as I was able to clear up some mental strongholds and some emotional problems from the past, my vision of life cleared. I got clarity of past events. My physical sight began to clear. So that's the two that they're very closely associated. And that's the piece that I would like to bring to my clients, is life looks different. You see it differently. Not only do you see it more clearly, but you see it with a clear perception of things. And that's a gift that is worth the effort that it takes to get. So the third part and last part of the story is, what about you? Is it the pill or the cure? And having been a nurse for 10 years at Hartford Hospital, I worked in the operating room, and I also worked in the neonatal and intensive care unit. So I know what Western medicine's about, and I would never throw it out. But for me, it's not the gold standard, and it's not the final authority in healthcare. Alternative methods, we got to thank God for that revolution that's going on in terms of bringing to the forefront alternative methods of medicine. They're powerful and they work. So my question to you is, do you go the conventional way, standard medicine, glasses, or do you look into ways to bring back your natural vision and relearn to see? It's tempting to go the easy route. I mean, even people who are diagnosed with something like diabetes, are you going to lose the weight? Are you going to follow the diet? Are you going to exercise? Or do you want to pop the pill? So it's the same thing with your vision. For some reason, our culture just accepts the fact that it's no big deal when your vision starts to blur. Oh, I have to go get glasses. And it's no big deal when 2 years pass and you're told you had to up your prescription. We accept it. If you broke your arm and got a cast, would you want to wear the cast for the rest of your life? So that is not the way I roll, and that's not the way I try to take care of myself. And hopefully you will see that there's another way. And you saw my step down process. I have no idea where I'd be today. I was 42 when I was prescribed these here. And 20 years later, I have no idea where I'd be today in terms of the extension of my rack, because it was pretty bad right here. And life didn't get any easier. So, with all the stress and all, at least now I have methods that I can use and I'm aware of when I need to relax, how to relax my eye system. So again, I leave that with you in terms of what your choice is. Not everybody will be attracted to this. You don't get cured by osmosis. There's a commitment that you make. I'm right by your side to guide you through it. But it is a decision that you have to make. If you are drawn to my message, you'll know it. Most people say, I've been searching, I've been seeking, and you happen to come along. So then if you are, then this is for you. Most people want to know, well, how do I start? So it starts with a consultation visit. And from there, I partner with you and we establish how often you meet with me. This cannot become another stress in your life. So I work with you, financially, I work with you time-wise. This is something that I want you to delight in, and something that I want you to look forward to coming to see me. I want you to look forward to the things I ask you to do, because they're things that are going to set you free. You do not, if you don't live in Connecticut, I still work with clients outside in a distance learning setting at video conferencing. The natural vision improvement is also for children. So I do work with children, and it's amazing to see how quickly children respond. People think children can tolerate all kinds of stress. Well, they're just kids. It'll roll off their backs. It does not. And so when children are shown ways to release the stress, their visual system corrects quickly. So if you want to reach out to me, and we can talk, you can reach me at my website. There's a contact page. My website is patmattas, my name, .com. And go to the contact page. You can type in a message there and send it to me. There's also a phone number if you need to speak with me, and another email address. So I hope that I've been able to share something with you tonight. If nothing more, hope that the eyes, like every other part of our body, desires to be healed. It's other than the teeth, which people neglect and think can never be healed. Also, teeth can heal as well. So I'll leave the decision with you. There is another answer. It doesn't have to be a lifetime of glasses and contacts. It doesn't have to be the slippery slope into other eye diseases. With the eye tightly contracted like this, circulation is compromised, oxygenation is compromised, and we get the slippery slope into cataracts and other things. So the base method is a teaching method. It is not a medical practice. Even though I am a nurse, I am not an optometrist. This is a teaching approach to relearning to see. So thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that I will hear from some of you, those who want to be set free. And you're going to get out of class 5 minutes early. All right. Thank you so much, and God bless, friends.